I am so excited to be able to talk to you and through you to touch whoever is out there that will be able to hear this and probably, pick up something from my story that they could be able to implement in their lives and make a change. So I'm really, really excited about this discussion this morning. I can't wait to get started.
I am excited about getting started as well. So welcome everyone to the Corporate Corner. I'm Natasha Andrews and I'll be taking you through this journey and this time with none other than Jamila Draper. Give us some insight into that awesome journey.
Well, funny story. I always wanted to be a doctor. So when I was in school, you're choosing your subjects. I did all sciences. I am a science nerd. I am a science geek because medicine was my thing, right? Did A-levels, came out of A-levels, ready to go to university. And at that time, you had to have like straight A's to get into medicine. So my choice at that time was either repeat A-levels to get those straight A's or do something else. I had an uncle who was a lecturer in the Faculty of Agriculture. And he said to me, well, we have this new degree program, Agribusiness Management. Sign up for that, right? Because with your grades, you will get into that. So sign up for that, do it for a year. And then at the end of your first year, if you still want to do medicine, you can apply for a transfer to the faculty. So I said, well, that sounds interesting. Sounds like a plan. So I went in. And I went in initially thinking, okay, I'm just here for a year and then I'm going to transfer out. And in the middle of that year, something clicked. Not so much in terms of the agriculture part of it, because I love agriculture, the whole learning about, the farming techniques and food technology and that type of thing. But when we started doing the business management courses, so organizational development, marketing, company law, I was like, this is really interesting. So at the end of first year, when my uncle said to me, well, okay, this is the process now if you want to transfer over. And I was like, I'm good. I'm staying here. And in second year, we were given the option to choose courses from either agriculture faculty or social sciences faculty. So I did a combination. And coming out of there, my first job out of there was with the Agricultural Development Bank. And I spent 6 wonderful years there helping farmers who are business people, setting them on the right track, doing all of those things. I got to delve a little further into marketing. So then the marketing bug hit. And I am one of those people who are in it. I don't really understand it fully. Let me find a course. So I went and I did a course in marketing. I did a course in PR, those types of things. And that is where I started on that whole journey of how can I use what I have to help others, right? So from there, it jumped from job to job to job, because at that age, you're young, you're always looking for your next opportunity, your next big thing, right? And then I got into the credit union movement. And Natasha, let me tell you something. My passion is for credit unions and credit union people, because it's a whole different way of life. It's a whole different way of doing things. You are basically serving the membership of the credit union. And that is where I found my joy, Members would come to me and they would say, but Ms. Draper, you're doing this for everybody else when you're starting your own business. And I would tell them, well, one of these days, when the good Lord ready for me to do it, he will find a way for me to do it one of these days, right? And I kept on with that, one of these days, one of these days, one of these days. And I moved further along in my credit union career doing different programs. It has helped me to even get international, because I'm now internationally certified as a credit union educator. and I use that to reach out now to people, not only in Trinidad, not only in the region, but internationally. I had the opportunity to stand on a stage in Austin, Texas, to talk about Caribbean credit unions. One of my greatest joys was being able to walk through the hall in Vienna, Austria, a few years ago when we had World Council carrying the Trinidad and Tobago flag.
Wow.
I mean, when they called me and asked me, Jamila, will you carry our flag? I was like, it was like me, little old humble me, to carry the flag in an international event. So, those types of things really touch me.
Wow.
And being able to share that experience with other people and say to them, listen, you can do it. Starting your own business, being your own boss, you can do it, right? My transition from corporate to entrepreneur was a bit of it took a tragedy. It took a tragedy, right? 9 years ago, I lost my son's father. And at the time, my son was 5. So I was thrust into, you are now a single parent, right? I was general manager of a credit union at the time. And I thought that I was a superhero. I thought, okay, I will grieve, I will get over it, I will come back to work and I'll be fine. It took a year into that process where, and I mean, I remember this day, I think I'll remember this day always, right? I was in the office, we had a board meeting. My mother was at home with my son, and she called me to get something. And in the background, I'm hearing my son crying. And something inside of me just snapped. And I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't do it anymore. And I crumpled into a heap in my office. And one of the other managers came in and, he looked at me and he said to me, Ms. Draper, go home. You don't need to be here right now. Go home, right? And I came home and I sat with my mother and I said to her, this is not working. I can't be in charge of an organization when I myself right now am feeling as if I'm not even in charge of me.
Wow.
Right? So I took some time off, took a vacation, and really started thinking, okay, what am I going to do? Right? I was not a very spiritual person, but I grew up in church. So I had that relationship with God. So, I sat and I'm thinking, okay, God, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go, right? To be able to get through this pain that I was feeling at that point in time.
Wow.
And I remember talking to a friend of mine who had started her own business. And I was actually a director in her company. And I did some, off and on, I would do some training sessions with them, customer service training and that type of thing. And she said to me, well, what would it take for you to start your company? Because I had been talking to her all the time, well, I want to do. And I told her, well, this is what I have in mind. This is what I want to do, but I really don't have the money to do it right now. And she said, well, Jamila, you've been with me for the past, at that time, I'd been with her for about 3 or 4 years, right? She said, I've never paid you to do anything. So here. And she gave me the seed money to start my business. And that's how I started, right? The name of my business, the name that I chose for my business is called MIRASU Consulting, And I looked for a name that had a meaning because I wanted it. I wanted when I tell somebody, my business is MIRASU. What does that mean? So Miras is a Turkish word and it means legacy. Because for me, I feel as if this is my legacy. This is something that was passed down to me, and I am now passing it on to others. And then ASU is the African term for corporation, right? Bringing back that whole, the whole credit union idea, cooperatives, corporation, etc. So MIRASU, meaning a legacy of corporation. So that's the name of my business. What we do is we work with you as an entrepreneur to be able to prepare you for successful financing to make your business a success. That's what we do, right? So that's how I got basically to where I am right now,
Wow.
Yes.
Let's jump into the other area, your contribution.
Right. Well, one of the main things that I wanted to accomplish with MIRASU is being able to help entrepreneurs on their journey, right? Regardless of what business you have as an entrepreneur, there are certain key things that you need to be able to understand and practice in order for your business to be successful. So the first venture was a conference that I called BYOB. And that stood for Be Your Own Boss, Build Your Own Business, Be Your Own Brand, whatever you want BYOB to mean for your business. And in coming up with the concept for that program, I sat and I thought to myself, okay, as an entrepreneur, what do you want to know that you either may not know who to ask, or you may think that, well, I don't have money to pay a consultant or to pay a financial manager or whatever the case might be. So I got together some of my friends in the industry. And this is one thing where I tell people your network is key. Keep in touch with your network. And I don't want to say use them because that sounds kind of harsh, but draw on their strengths and the resources that they offer. So I reached out to a couple of people and I said to them, listen, I want to do this. This is the reason behind why I want to do it. I'm reaching out to entrepreneurs. At the time, I was also working with an NGO that was doing a program for entrepreneurs, teaching them skills in entrepreneurship. And so I said to these people, I want to be able to give them some tips, to give them some practical guidelines on how to do what they need to do. So I got Jennifer Gibbons, who came and spoke about financial management. I got Judy Joseph McSween, who came and spoke about, you and personal motivation and stuff like that. Sheldon came and gave his story as an entrepreneur. I had Akusa Dardane, who was a young author, who came and spoke about her journey. I had Akila, I can't remember Akila's last name now, but she is also a great entrepreneur. And then to cap it off, I had someone who I consider to this day my personal guru, Anthony Watkins, to come and do the opening session for me, to really ground the session and set the framework for what we wanted the day to accomplish. I believe I ended up with like 25 or 30 participants at a first conference. And for me, I said to myself, okay, I've done it. I didn't have to do anything else after that. I've done it. Just hearing the comments from the people afterwards, this was so good, thank you so much. I learned so much. And putting them in touch with these people who were able to say to them, listen, here's my contact information. If you have a question, feel free to call me. Right? So doing things like that. And then even now, I do a lot of work with other NGOs. And my philosophy is I have certain skills. I have certain resources, etc. How can I use those to help other people? That whole spirit of, volunteering and giving back. I mean, it's something that I grew up with. I saw my mother doing it. I saw my grandparents doing it. So it's instilled in me, right? In terms of giving back. Once I help someone, I think, and then they can then take what they've learned and help someone else and help someone else and help someone else. And that is how, as a society, we can continue this growth that we need in this period.
Wow. Wow. BYOB. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So let's talk about your outlook now.
I think some of the significant things that I've observed over the past couple of years is that entrepreneurship now is more of an option versus, for instance, when I came out of school. I came out of school at a time when they said, study hard, pass your exams, come out and get a good job, right? And if you were to say to someone, well, yes, I'm going to study hard. Yes, I'm going to get my passes. But when I come out, I'm going to start my own business, right? Then it was like, you sure you want to do that? Get yourself a job first, and then you could think about doing that on the side kind of thing. Now it is more of a, okay, you're going to come out and start your own business. Wonderful. What you're going to do, how you're going to do it, So entrepreneurship now is more of a viable option, I would say, for persons coming out of school. There are so many opportunities available now for young people. And all they have to do is be willing to put in a little bit of hard work. It's not going to come easy, right? I think this whole COVID situation has forced a lot of people to look at entrepreneurship, right? And, it has turned people into saying, well, I could always make a real good sweetbread. I wonder if somebody would buy that, right?
Makes sense.
So you have people who have turned their hobbies now into a business. So for example, I was introduced to a young lady 2 weekends ago. Now, I can bake lovely cakes. Any kind of cake you want, no problem, you could get it done. Bread, on the other hand, we have never been friends. The first attempt I had at baking bread, you could have take it and use it to stone mango or something with it. So not me at all, right? A friend of mine who knows me all too well called me and she said, there's this lady and what she does is she will make the dough, roll it out, do everything, freeze it. All you have to do when you get it is thaw it out, let it raise for a few hours and stick it in the oven. And I'm like, hello, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. There are so many opportunities now for entrepreneurs to really branch out, right? Still being cautious, of course, still measuring, weighing, doing all of the analysis because that is key, right? But finding things to do where you can be self-sufficient and self-supported. Look at your talents, right? And it's never too early to start. This is something that I preach. If you look behind me, you're seeing 3 paintings, right? My son, who is now 14, he just turned 14 a couple months ago, at the start of this lockdown last year in March, came to me and said, Mommy, could you buy me a canvas? And of course, at that age, I was like, canvas? Why you want me to buy a canvas? What you gonna do with a canvas? And he was like, no, I wanna try something. He has been looking at YouTube videos, teaching himself, and he has produced over 20-something pieces, right? And one of my friends who saw it said to him, well, okay, how much are you gonna sell that to me for? And he was like, if you like it, you can have it, right? And I was like, okay, teachable moment, right? And I was like, listen, somebody's interested in purchasing your work because they recognize the hard work that you would have put in to developing this, right? So this is a way now for you to be rewarded for your talents. So we have a business scheme set up for him. So you do your pieces, you sell your pieces, Part of that money will go back towards buying more raw materials. So you get more canvases, you get your paints and your supplies and stuff. Part of that money goes towards savings because it's never too early to start saving. So part of that money goes towards savings. And then a portion of that money is yours. Whatever you want to do with it, that's your money. You've earned it, right? So, even in our children, if they are exhibiting a talent and they are exhibiting a passion for something and they want to do it and you're seeing that they want to do it, then by all means encourage them. Once it's legal, once it's not hurting them, right? Encourage them because you never know where that could take them.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. So you have started your entrepreneur coaching development from at home.
From at home, yes.
All right. So let's talk about your hurdles, Jamila. What was one of your most challenging experiences and how were you able to manage, overcome?
I think I touched on it earlier on in terms of, how I started this business, how I got into it, and that whole, the emotional trauma.
Yes.
Right? Because for me, it was one, adjusting to this whole concept of single parenthood. Yesterday you had support, today there's none, right? Moving from the whole environment of corporate where regardless of what happens at the end of the month, you have a paycheck coming. Two, you're an entrepreneur, you don't get paid if you don't produce, right? If your conference is a flop, you still have expenses, but you have no more money coming in. After that, what is your next project going to be? Kind of making that transition, right? And making it make sense, right? Because on paper, it all looked good. But then being able to take what I had written down on paper, to take those plans and actually put them into practice. Actually do now what I was telling other people that they needed to do, right? So, we have a saying where the doctor don't ever take his own medicine. I had to start to take my own medicine, right? And actually put into practice what I had been telling people that they needed to do in order for their business to be a success, right? Thankfully for me, in terms of being able to manage, being able to overcome and all of those things, I call it the 3 Fs: family, friends, and faith, right? My family was and still are my biggest support system, right? Being able for my aunt or my mom to say, well, I know you have a project this weekend, I know you have a conference this weekend, drop your son by me, it's okay, right? My friends, right, who would say to me, what help you need? You need me to come, you need somebody to man your registration desk, you need somebody to open the door, I come in, right? And my faith, as I said, I was not a very spiritual person, but for me, there's a difference between being spiritual and having faith. And, in the Bible, it says, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, then you can move mountains. And I kind of fell back on my faith and said, God, you are showing me this path. Prepare me now to actually walk and do what needs to be done. Right? So those are the things that I still fall back on to this day. There are days when you get up in the morning and it'll be like, Lord, what you have in store for me today? Right? And you just be open to whatever comes.
Beautiful. Beautiful. The 3 Fs. I love it.
Yes.
I'm gonna take it and say no, Natasha's 3 Fs. Okay, no, I just get it. All right, so we want to just bring the windows to a close on this particular segment.
Right.
So just drop in your friendly advice to persons who may be getting into business leadership or who wants to improve, improve themselves, their leadership and their business. What
Right.
would you say?
One of the motivational speakers that I listen to a lot is Les Brown. I actually had the privilege a few years ago when Les Brown was in Trinidad. The group or the organization that brought him to Trinidad, I was a director with that group. So, we really got some one-on-one personal time to converse with Les Brown. And one of his mantras that has now become my mantra is leap and grow wings on your way down. What that means is you may not have everything that you think you need, but step out. Step out in faith, knowing that you can learn as you go along, right? Another thing he said is, if you fall, make sure you fall on your back. Because once you could look up, you can get up. And once you can get up, you can move forward, right? So in terms of advice that I would give, I would say to people, don't be afraid to take that step, right? Because you never know what will happen unless you try it. Now, having said that, you must have a plan. It's not going to happen by chance. It's not going to happen by accident. So have a plan. Have a financial plan. Have a marketing plan. Have a production plan. Have a plan. And in that plan, know that there's going to be a point in time when you may have to say to yourself, listen, I need to take a step back. Things aren't going exactly how I planned. I need to be able to pivot. For some people, like for me, as part of my journey, there was a point in time when I had to pivot and I had to go back to corporate. Because at the end of the day, the choice was, listen, you either stay doing this and trying your best to make it a success with the bank calling you and saying your mortgage is overdue, or go back to corporate, ground yourself a little bit more, right? While still working on these ideas, on the side, keeping them going, keeping them building, so that you get to a point where when you make that transition again, you are in a better place, right? Everybody's journey is not the same. So you can't look at one person and say, oh, well, they did it in a month, they did it in 2 months. No, you don't know what happened before those 2 months, right? So have a plan, stick to your plan, but also know when you have to pivot and do something else.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So you're ready for us to have some fun?
Let's have some fun. Let's have some
fun.
fun.
All right. So we are in the other side of C-suite. Tell us a few of your favorite things, Jamila.
All right, let's go. Food. I'm a sucker for a good oil dung.
You too.
Good oil dung, but it must have plenty breadfruit, plenty dasheen, plenty pigtail. In terms of a song, when I was in school, I sang in the choir. I sang in the choir in church for a little while as well. And there was this one song that we used to use in school as our warm-up song. And that song always has stuck with me and has a special, special place. And that song is You'll Never Walk Alone. And if you listen to the words of that song, when you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. It's a powerful song. So from time to time, I sing it, I hum it, I recite it as a poem, just to remind myself that, you can do this, walk on, walk on, right? Another song that I love is Sinak. I Know Who I Am. You know, that song. And, you know, funny thing, my niece, who is now 7 years old, when my mother passed 2 years ago, and they live in England. When she came to Trinidad and she came into the house, that song was playing, I Know Who I Am. And immediately she was like, that's Granny's song. And we were like, what do you mean? And she's like, that's Granny's song, that's Granny's song. And at the funeral, at the graveside, you know, everybody is there and, you know, you're trying to hold up and you're trying to keep strong. And she was like, let's sing Granny's song, right? And there was somebody there who, you know, found the song on their phone and started playing it. And she was there singing and dancing. And, you know, this was Granny's song. And that kind of, you know, lifted everybody's spirits. So that song also, for those two, I Know Who I Am and You'll Never Walk Alone. Those are my songs. Those are my jams, right? Books. I love to read. I love to read. Right now, my favorite author is Dan Brown. So anything by Dan Brown. And I think too, because a lot of his books, he brings in the whole kind of science fiction kind of thing. And that's me, the whole science geek, science nerd in me kind of jumps to the fore.
Oh,
When
okay.
you see things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So talking about chemical reactions and you know, electrons and yeah. That's get all excited about things like that, right?
Gotcha.
I'm weird like that. Right? Let's see what else. People. My favorite people are my little people. I call them my pumpkins. My son, my niece, and my nephew. Those are my 3 heartbeats, right? Of course, the rest of my family, my sister, my brother-in-law, my aunts, and so, but my 3 pumpkins. Those are my favorite people. They can do no wrong. I'm very sorry. You know, that's just me, proud mommy, proud auntie, right?
Just the way it is.
That's just the way it is, right? Places to visit. When the borders reopen and we are able to travel, my first ticket that I am booking is going to be to England. One of my bucket list places to visit is Africa, right? I came this close to going to Africa.
Oh boy. Let's revisit your clumsiest moment, Jamila.
University of the West Indies, second year, inter-faculty games. Now, I had started training with the volleyball team, right, for St. Augustine campus. So, you know, you're thinking to yourself, okay, you know, you're this big sports person and you're training on the team and whatnot and whatnot. So we had a cricket game. I think it was our faculty, so Faculty of Agriculture against, I think it was either engineering or natural sciences. So 2 of the bigger faculties on campus have this cricket game going on, right? I am fielding behind on the bowler's end. The other side needed 4 runs to win the match. Ball is hit and it's coming directly at me. And I stretched to catch the ball. And my legs did this.
Oh dear.
And the ball just went past me for 4. So they won the match. The whole campus was outside looking at this match. And I was like, okay, ground, just open up, follow me, you know.
Oh dear.
And I remained in that position and everybody was like, Jamila, you okay? Jamila, you can no. Jamila. And I was just like, okay, leave me alone. Just walk away. Don't talk to me. Just go.
Oh my God.
I don't think I could ever live that down. And I don't think that anything else so far has come close to that kind of humiliation. But I mean, I survived. I survived.
You survived.
I survived.
All right.
Ooh.
What makes you?
Ooh, what irritates the bejeevers out of me? I would have to say my biggest pet peeve would be disrespectful and discourteous people.
I agree. So let's talk about your play.
I love to read. I love to listen to music. I love to watch TV, right? So on any given day, a good book, a nice cup of coffee or cup of tea or something, and a good movie playing on TV, and I am good. I am good to go.
All right. So Jay, we're coming to the end of this corner for now.
Right.
For now.
For now.
So we're asking you, as we close, to make a wish.
My wish, I would take it in two parts. For now, in terms of what we're going through now for our immediate future, my wish is that people take more responsibility for their actions and recognize that what I do today can have an impact not only on me, but also on the people that are immediately around me. So I need to take responsibility for my actions. My second wish is more long-term. And that is that more people will be able to recognize and utilize their God-given talents and skills to be able to do things to become more self-sufficient. Because as a nation, as a society, we cannot expect that there will always be somebody or some agency or some organization that will be able to give you anything, right? You need to be able to get up and at least be able to manage for a little while, right? And I think that it is in recognizing and honing our talents and skills that we will be able to do things that would make us sustainable and self-sufficient as a people.
Wow. Jamila, this was really awesome. So as we say it at the end of our interview all the time, see you around the corner. Thank you very much.